Thanks for tuning in again, everybody. We're back with your favorite podcast, Luca's Tigers and Bronze. Oh my. What's up, Killer?
All right, Luca Nation. We got a recap for you guys today, and
Yeah,
Cage is going to bring straight heat right now.
Yeah,
he's going to bring.
Listen, we're recording this.
Fire for
Andrew
you guys.
wanted to be quick because the game's about to start here. The Heat Celtics game. I wanted to give a recap, and we're kind of just going to do straight through. But something just happened in this Dallas game. They're going to get the 2-point conversion in Seattle. Seattle was down by 31-30, and they were within field goal range. I thought they were going to take it down, take the clock down, you name it, and just kick a field goal and win the game. And instead scored the touchdown. I was a little bit, I don't know. Ian just came to tell me it's a close game. I was going to say, this could be a mistake because you're giving Dallas a chance now. Although now that it's 7, chances are, even if Dallas comes back and scores a touchdown, the worst that could happen is overtime. But I didn't really, it was one of those things. Metcalf caught it, what do you want to do? Take a knee at the 1? He's not going to think about that in the moment. But we'll see what happens as we go along to see whether or not they get burnt there. Especially if they would have missed that 2-point conversion, that would have been interesting. But let's run through it. Shut that door. Pain in my ass. All right, so we were talking today about these games, right? And in the 1 o'clock games, we didn't do so bad. Let's run through them, right? Texans and Steelers. Looks like the Texans were going to run out and run away with this. Deshaun Watson had a great start, but the Steelers hung around, man. The Steelers are 2 wins against bad teams. Houston had 2 losses against good ones, and obviously this was a pretty close matchup. But we took the Steelers -5, and we wound up winning that one. We said play Connor for a touchdown. The guy had 109 yards and a touchdown. So from the fantasy perspective and from the betting perspective, this one was good. Nothing crazy coming out of this game other than Will Fuller. Another great game, touchdown, you name it. We were on him before the season started, so hopefully you stocked up on some Will Fuller cards as well. Rams at Bills, what a crazy game, man! Did you watch this game?
I did not.
Crazy game. So it was another one of those, like win probability. They're showing Dallas's win probability right now is 5%. At one point in time, I think the Bills were up 28-10. Might have even been up 28-3. It was just a crazy thing. Same thing again with the Falcons. We'll get to it, but the Bills were up, and the Rams actually came all the way from behind, and took a lead in the game. But Josh Allen, with the help of the refs, a little bit of a crazy penalty at the end there, came up and won. It was Bills -2.5. That covered. And our big fantasy play also, by the way, we said was the Bills D gets the cover for these guys, and that's exactly what happened, right? The Bills defense played really well, except for the collapse at the end. There was an interesting thing there. We played fantasy. Cooper Kupp, guy led all receivers in the game. He had 9 catches, 107 yards, and a touchdown. So hopefully, you went with the Cooper Kupp play. I was really flying high. Pick number 3, Bengals at Eagles. And I said, somebody has to win it, right? That was my quote. Somebody has to win it, right? And I was wrong because they tied. You can't make this shit up. So, I said it could go either way. But, because it was such a close matchup of 2 bad teams, let me take the touchdown. So when it got to overtime, it didn't make a difference because it didn't matter to me who won. What we were saying was Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders had over 100 yards for the game. That was your running back play. Obviously, I would have liked to have seen, Joe Burrow get his first win. He didn't get his first win at all. He got his first tie. And that guy's taking some bad hits. If the Bengals want him to last for the whole season, you're going to want him to, stay a little more upright, maybe protect him a little bit more. He took some shots. Some of them might have been penalties that weren't called, but he took some shots. But that was a win right there. My Raiders, man, this is the problem. You go with your heart sometimes instead of your brain. And I thought the Patriots were laying too much. Turned out, it got close in the end, but this game was never in doubt. This was the Patriots game. Carr didn't look so good. The one smart thing that I told you guys was stay away from Waller. I said, Belichick was going to scheme for him and don't start him. And the dude had 2 catches for 9 yards. So hopefully you listened and you didn't start him in fantasy after his huge explosion to lead all tight ends in scoring last week. You kind of knew that when you're playing against Belichick, I should have been smarter and know that when you play against. Go ahead. What's up, man?
You watched that game. The Raiders are your team.
Yep.
What is it that makes Belichick so special?
You know what? He finds a way to take away a team's best option, right? So, I would say for the Raiders on offense, that's Josh Jacobs. And he just found a way to keep him human, You know what I mean? The guy had like 70 yards rushing. I think he even lost a fumble. He finds a way to cover him out of the backfield so that takes away that safety valve for Derek Carr. You know, he figures out a way to take away your one or two best options, and then somebody else has to make a play. And the Raiders, unfortunately, are just not deep enough to make those plays. They also made a lot of mistakes in the game. And when, you know, a lot of that's probably because of the defensive, you know, plan that they had. Derek Carr saw some stuff that he probably wasn't expecting to see. And, you know, they did enough. They jump out. The Raiders don't look like a team that's, you know, ready to come from behind. Looks like they probably need to play from ahead in order to do some stuff. But look, at 2-1, I can't complain. If you told me coming into the season that after 3 weeks we'd be 2-1, I'd be happy with that because I don't think the Raiders are that great of a team. But that was a loss there. But
let down game because also they had a big win last week.
Yeah.
Patriots at home off a loss. They were just kind of a culmination of scenarios.
Lots of stuff going on there. And, you know, I mean, look, the Patriots jumped out and it was never really in doubt. Titans at Vikings. What a crazy game. And we had Vikings plus 1.5, and that was a cover. So that was a good one, even though the Titans won. It's amazing how Vegas gets this, right? It was Vikings plus 1.5, and the Titans won by 1. So pretty crazy, right? You know, we said the Vikings had to win it, and obviously they didn't win, but they still covered with that, you know, that half a point. What we said on this one, though, was Adam Thielen was going to have a touchdown, and he did. And we also said play both of the running backs are going to have big days. I said Henry was going to find the end zone for the first time this season. He had 2 touchdowns, 119 and 2. Big game for him. I said start Dalvin Cook because he was going to find the end zone, and he was going to have a big game. He had his career high. The guy had 181 yards and a touchdown. So if you listen to us on that game, you know, by a half point we won. But the fantasy numbers were right. Washington at Cleveland. We said, you know, Cleveland minus 6.5, and they covered. We liked Baker. I said it was their defense that was going to do it. I think, you know, but ultimately what was going to happen here was Cleveland was going to be 2-1. Baker was going to be 2-1 after this week. Haskins looked indecisive. That Browns defense is a lot better than people give him credit for. What's his name? Garrett.
Myles Garrett. He's a bad man.
I mean,
He's a bad man.
He just signed an extension, right? And he deserves every penny that he got. That guy he was all over the place today. I mean, he really. I feel bad for any quarterback that has to go up against him.
Don't you love athletic defensive ends?
Yeah.
Like athletic, lean defensive ends are a problem.
Yeah, and it also look. I mean, it's your coach. It's the scheme. It's the team you're in, right? So you know, when Khalil Mack was on the Raiders, he was just a beast. I mean, he was crazy. I don't really hear him too much anymore. I don't see him making too many plays. I don't see him doing much for the Bears. It's, you know, it's an interesting thing, right? But you know, look, that guy Garrett, I just gotta say he was everywhere today. I mean, there was a bunch of sacks. That, you know, that was the Browns defense has to be a top 5 fantasy defense in what they did this week. Has to be. They didn't give up a lot of points, and you know, they just look good. Bears at Falcons. I was ready to. This was the 7th game I picked, and I was ready to pencil myself in for 6-1 because I had the Falcons -3. I'm going to give myself a 50-50 on this one because I said the over 47 was coming in on this, and it clearly did. So I'm giving 1 win and 1 loss from a betting perspective on this one, because the over did come in pretty easy because the Bears came back. You know, we gave a fantasy play on this one, 2 of them. One of them was play Allen Robinson, and he was our card play. I don't know if he'll be able to find his 2014 Prism number 265 for $1.50 anymore after that game where he had 10 catches, 123 and a touchdown. We also said play Calvin Ridley, and he had 5 for 110 as well. So, you know, I would have liked to have seen the Falcons hang on and win this one for me, but, you know, unfortunately these type of games happen, and it has to go down as a loss. Another horrible one. I mean, I'm in New York, so I guess, you know, I try to go with the New York football teams. What a mistake, and I will never make that mistake again. I mean, I took the Giants and the points against the Niners. I did say Jerick McKinnon would score, and he did. He had a touchdown, but that goes down as another loss. And so we made 9 picks on the 8 games, and we were 6-3 in the 1 o'clock hour, which is not that bad. Not that bad, 6-3. We didn't do as well in the 4 o'clock games. The Panthers and Chargers. Chargers had a chance to win this one at the end. I was surprised at how well you know, Teddy Bridgewater managed this team. You know, it's Herbert. He had a chance to, you know, to lead a comeback drive at the end and fell slightly short. And you know, but he looked good. He looks legit. He looks like the real deal. You know, we said start Austin Eckler because he was going to score because Carolina gives up a lot of points to opposing running backs, and he did. He scored. Austin Eckler had a good game. I took a flyer on the Jets, and what a mistake. And I'm going to tell you, I have it's with PWCC, up for sale. I bought a year and a half ago a Sam Darnold Prism Silver PSA 10. So, those cards, there's none of them, right? There's a handful of those cards out there, and I bought it, and I said, you know what? I'm going to sell it when the season starts. I would give him a couple of weeks to have a good game. That was not the game that I was hoping for the week that my card is for sale. People are going to see him lose really badly. I think he had 3 picks in a game. It's a shame, too, because he threw a pick 6, and they were down 7-0 in the first minute and a half, and then he came back, drove him down the field, threw the ball, for a touchdown, tied the game up 6-6. And if this is a touchdown, this is the greatest play I've ever seen. No, he throws a pick. Dak Prescott, he avoided a sack and threw it into the end zone, but he got intercepted. I can't believe he didn't get sacked. Looks like Seattle's going to hang on and win this one 38-31.
Cage,
yeah,
how are the question really becomes, how are the Jets going to win one game?
I don't know if they are. I think I'm amazed that Detroit won a game. Let's put Matthew Stafford into the Hall of Fame. We'll get to that in a second. But the Jets are just horrible, right? It's miserable. I said give them the 10 points because the Colts are not going to run away. I mean, come on. I think Phillip Rivers had his 400th career touchdown pass. There's no weapons for Darnold. We said that, and that really rang true. He was just terrible. If you're the Falcons today or the Jets, the team has to look long and hard at the coaching situation and what you got going on in those organizations, especially with the 2 straight weeks for the Falcons. The Jets just look like they have no answers for anything. It's really a shame too. But T.Y. Hilton had a good game as well. If you needed a cheap wide receiver, we said to start him. Cowboys and Seahawks, we just said go for the over on that one, 56. I said both teams are getting the 30s, and it looks like the final score is going to be 38-31. I said start Dak. You say, Dak, really? I explained to you that Matt Ryan had 450 yards against him and Cam Newton had 397. The game just ended. Let's see how many yards Dak had to a pick at the end of the game there. And, looks like the Cowboys are going to go to 1-2.
I said Dak really.
Let's take a look.
Ago. But really who I was talking about was Russ Wilson, man. How underappreciated is that guy, man?
Well, 14 touchdowns to start the season off in 3 games. That's pretty impressive. And, he led a nice drive there. It didn't come back to bite them that they scored the touchdown and gave the ball back to Dak. But if you're a fantasy person.
He's so in control of the game. He's so in control of the game.
You can't really go wrong with 472 yards and 3 touchdowns to Dak if you're, if you're somebody who's on there. We said start the wide receivers for Dallas. Lamb had a good game. Cooper had a good game. Wilson had a good game. Gallup had a good game. They all basically had good games. We said start both wide receivers for Seattle, Metcalf and Lockett. They both went over 100. Lockett had 3 touchdowns, and Metcalf had 1 and should have had a second. What a bonehead Deshaun Jackson-like play he made. Where he was about to cross into the end zone, and the defender came to punch the ball out of the end zone for a touchback. If you didn't see it, watch it. I think Metcalf's a beast. I think he's going to be a great receiver in the league. That'll be a good learning experience for him. And lucky for them, it didn't cost them the game because they wound up winning. But ultimately, I got the over on that one. The Bucks -6. We said play Godwin. I even said play Mike Evans because he's going to have one of those fade touchdowns where they're inside the 5, and Brady's going to look to throw him the ball because he's tall. He had 2 of those. He had 2 touchdowns inside the 5. So that was a good play. And Godwin, your boy, came back and scored for them as well. Brady looked a lot better. What do you think, bud? Did Brady look good?
Yeah. I still think he's cheating right now.
Oh, he still thinks he's a cheater. I love it. I taught him about the tuck rule young.
I also think even though the Patriots don't even have Tom Brady, who's still a cheater, I think they're still cheating.
Oh, because they beat the Raiders, so the Patriots are cheaters today too. Anyway, the Bucks were an easy one. Detroit against Arizona. I had Arizona -6 on that one. It was Kyler. We talked about all kinds of fun stuff in that one. And I mean, give Detroit credit. They stayed in there. Their defense played well. Adrian Peterson must have found the fountain of youth. I mean, that guy. Talk about somebody ageless, right? I mean, Adrian Peterson is still putting up numbers. He's still putting up stats. He's still running the ball well. He's still running hard. And that leads me to a question for you, because that's the end of my picks in the 13 games. We had 14 picks. I went 8-6. The fantasy picks were really, really good. Guys we said to start, they all played well. Guys we said to sit played poorly. But 8-6. I'd like to do better than that, although any gambler would take that, I think. And also just a quick little note, because we got some comments on this. I play some Thrive Fantasy app, but I'm not a huge bettor, and we want to make sure that you guys are being smart. We're doing this stuff, as Andrew likes to say, for educational purposes, right? We want to make sure that you guys know, I'm doing research. It's what I would do, what I would pick. What do they say? Bet with your head, not over it, right? So they say that for a reason, I guess, right? Let's talk about Kyler Murray, because, we have to bring the fantasy and the betting and the whole 9 yards all full circle into Kyler Murray's cards. So are you still high on Kyler Murray? I mean, you already told me that you thought that his cards were already a little bit inflated. And we talked about this a couple episodes ago. You want to comment on it or no?
We're in such an overreact culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to know. I don't know what you're basing it off of. Long term, I see a ton of potential in him.
I agree.
Short term, it depends on how the market views his stats. He's throwing a ton of picks. He's throwing a ton of touchdowns. The team has a lot of potential. He's going to make mistakes. He's a young quarterback.
Yeah, but for his card now,
here's
because
the thing.
we're in overreaction world, don't you think that people are going to overreact now to his bunch of picks? And
I
don't. Really?
Here's why. Because there's only 1,000 of them out there. You got to understand, it seems like there's a lot of Prism out there, but there's not. There's 12K of Zion Prism PSA 10s. There's a little bit over 1,000 Kyler Murrays. So, right now, I'm all over Facebook groups. I love doing that kind of anecdotal evidence, seeing what's going on after the games. Dude, no Kyler Murrays are available for sale. So, I don't think so.
Give it some time. We'll see. You're right about the population on this stuff, right? And if the amount of people who are buying basketball buy football, you'll realize that there's so much less supply of football.
Well, I posted mine to sell, and 3 of the groups are like, yo, line it. I want to get in on it. So I don't think anyone wants to pay $1,000 for it, but they would do 90 spots at $10 each, or 100 spots at $10 each. People are so excited about the card, even after today's game.
Interesting. All right. Well, I guess we'll see what happens in the the overreact culture. I'll tell you, I only own one Josh Allen Prism base PSA 10.
Okay.
I think I'm going to sell it this week because I think I don't think he's gonna do much better. I mean, he's really good, but come on, that come from behind. There were so many times where he made some mistakes in that game where I'm like, oh, he's going to cost him the game. And that's going to come back to bite him. Who knows? Plus, the Patriots look a lot better than I thought they looked in this division. They're not going to go away, the Patriots.
The way I would play NFL with quarterbacks is buy raw after the release, grade, and sell.
Yeah.
Long term with quarterbacks, even Russ Wilson before the season, I mean, we must have talked about him on 7 different episodes.
Yep.
I think his cards are freakishly low for how good he is. And even him, it doesn't seem like the market respects him as a long-term investment that much. I think in football, and I could be wrong, national treasures and rookie patch autos are really the place where people invest in players long-term. Right. I think the Prism bases are more of a flip game, or kind of like a...
I agree, although I think it's changing a little bit now because people are coming in from basketball into football and they're looking for that type of thing. So
I think the big takeaway there is the way the basketball world works is going to have some similarities, but also a lot of differences from how football works. If you don't know, it's okay to sit on the sidelines and watch. That's going to give you a competitive advantage because you're going to be able to have context. You're going to understand that these are different markets. They operate differently. And I think that's really important. It's educate yourself and watch sometimes. And that's what I'm doing.
He put that on for you.
I love Russell Wilson, man.
Russell Wilson jersey on for you. All right, so I'm going to let this one go this week. You just post this for guys because we do want to give them a recap on the day, talk about what happened, talk about Kyler Murray, give them a little card stuff. But I need something from you. Tell me what's going to happen in the NBA game.
Okay, I appreciate you asking. I think the Celtics are going to send it to 7 games.
Well,
and that pains me. That hurts me so much because I want the Heat to win so bad. But I said this since the beginning. I said this a few episodes ago too. I think what's going to happen is the above average teams are going to beat up on each other, which is actually going to give LeBron the easy win in the finals. And it's been happening all the way through. The Toronto Celtics series, for example, that was a brawl. And I think we're going to see the same thing here. I think these teams are going to be very tired going into the finals.
So, and that's great news for LeBron. I got a little kid over here who told me the Lakers are going to win in 6. Remember, he predicted before this series both started, and they won in 5. But he also predicted the Heat win in 7. So we can go back and find that audio. So if that happens, if you're right, that's what the kid predicted. I'll tell you one last thing, Luka Nation out there. Root for Aaron Jones to punch one in tonight for the Packers, because I'm already in the money on one of my Thrive fantasy plays touchdowns, and I got him still going in the night game. So if he if he happens to punch it one into the end zone, the amount of money goes up. So that'd be nice. Listen, we thank you guys for sticking with us on this one. We'll have another episode for you guys tomorrow. We just want to give you a recap, and thank you guys for watching some football, spending the day with us. Hopefully you guys did well with some of these picks.
Love you, Luka Nation. And I want to actually address something.
Go ahead.
Should we talk? Because I loved that little piece of feedback from one of our fans of Luka Nation. You want to touch on it real quick?
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought I already did with the whole bet with your head, not over it kind of deal. The user's name is Collecting Gonig, right? Collect in Gonig, Gonig. I don't know. Right? That was that's the person who made the comment and basically said, I'd like to read it, right? So I'm gonna find it here. Yeah, he said, surprised to hear. Let's see, where is his comment? It is for today's fun. So give me a second. This is what happens when we don't prepare, guys. It takes me a while to get on while I'm on the Zoom here, but we'll get this. Yes, so here's his comment, right? So his comment was one previous. There you go. You guys are starting to sound a little conflicted about giving picks. Andrew's giving a disclaimer with his now about it being educational. Please don't let Instagram shame you into no picks. I listen to a lot of hobby content, and nobody does what you guys do. You're the CNBC fast money of hobby content, and it's great. Also, I've listened for a couple months and haven't acted on a single pick, but it's very entertaining. Well, listen, that's the first and foremost what we're trying to be. We're trying to be entertaining for you, but we also, the pick shouldn't be a joke. I do want to make sure that that I'm putting hours and hours of research into these picks, which is why, so far in the 2 weeks that we've done them, I think 19-9 or something like that, right? So we're doing pretty good on them, and we'll bring them to you because look, it's a lot of fun. It's fun to do, and I thank you for the for the compliment and the CNBC Fast Money. I love that. It's a great comparison. Yep. We are trying to bring the sports cards into the mainstream, and they do dovetail with fantasy sports. They do dovetail with sports betting. It all kind of goes hand in hand, especially with, you call it the overreaction culture, but I consider the sports cards and daily fantasy the closest thing to be able to buy a share of stock in the company, in these players, in these teams, in Kyler Murray, right? It's the same kind of thing. So, that fast money comparison, it's actually, it's very complimentary because that's what we're trying to do. That's actually what our thought process is here in doing these type of podcast episodes. So we promise to continue bringing it. Don't worry about it. And we love the feedback because obviously what it shows us is that you're listening and that you like it. So keep those comments coming and let us know if there's anything else you want us to do.
So here's the thing, guys. I'm 30 now. I started wagering at a really, really young age, and I made a lot of mistakes, and I want to share those experiences with you. And one of the things I've learned, and I learned this the hard way, is I used to buy picks from people. I used to blindly tail, and I lost a lot of money that way. And that's not what I want you guys to do. I want to give you guys plays. Cage wants to give you guys plays, but we also want to give you the strategy and tools so that you can make your own plays. And that's why I'm a little bit hesitant with just giving you guys plays. That's why I have such a focus on education and not just, hey, these are the plays, follow us, tail us, and by the way, we're going to go tout soon. I don't want that. That's not who we are, and I don't want that to be the perception. So I'm very careful with that.
Well, listen, I appreciate it. I think that's the way to go, and we're doing it because it's part of the overall, landscape of the sport, right? Like we said, the cards, the picks, the daily fantasy, it all kind of goes together. So, we appreciate you guys listening, and we're going to let you guys get to the night games. So enjoy. Thanks. Talk to you tomorrow.
Peace.
Thank you for spending some time with us on another episode of the Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe. You know what? Don't just like and subscribe. Everybody does that. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell everybody. And we hope you got something from spending some time with us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.